Hello and welcome everyone on the Information Technology and Service Management PCB webinars. My name is Valerio Shola, the PCB organizer of this webinar, and today's topic is the insider threat. This webinar will be presented by Mr. Demetris Kachulis. He is an expert in the field of information security. With over 20 years of Wall Street consulting experience, he has worked with many Fortune 500 companies. Please write your questions and comments in the question box in the right-hand control panel, or you may use the option to raise your hand, and Mr. Demetris will answer to them accordingly at the end of this presentation. Please, Mr. Demetris, you may start the presentation.
Thank you so much, Valerio. This is a very interesting topic that we're going to be discussing about, and hopefully everybody is going to enjoy this presentation. We are going to be talking about the insider's threat. It's a very well-known issue, a problem that can cause a lot of bad situations, and unfortunately not that people are aware of. So, what it is insider's threat? Basically, it's an insider who goes and he takes data from his organization. He's unauthorized, and what he does, he uses this data for his own purposes. So, the stealing of intellectual property from an organization, from an insider, is what we are talking about today. There are many types of insider threats that we can see. It's a problem that can show up in many different ways. The one is somebody who really is not interested in causing any damage to the organization, but he's so negligent that an outsider takes advantage of this. So in a way, let's say that you write your password, you leave it on your desk, then somebody else comes, he takes it, he logs on, and he does what he does. So we have the negligent employee, basically, who causes a lot of damage even though he is not intending to do so. And then we have employees who really like to take advantage of their position for their own financial benefit. That's another category of employees that we see dealing with the insider threatening issue. So, in a way, we can divide the threat into different paths. The one is we have the intentional a reason for stealing data, and the second one is the accidental behavior that causes data to be stolen. So we have actually to deal with both of them. We cannot say that the one is more important or more critical than the other one. Both, they can cause a lot of damage. And that's why we have to take care of both these threats. Now, how big is the problem? The problem is huge. It's a big problem. Protecting data is not easy. Protecting data, it's difficult. So we have to at least define the problem that we have, and we have to know what we're dealing with. Sometimes it's very difficult because stealing data, it's something that you may not realize it until it happens. Let me give you an example. How many cases do we have where data stolen has surfaced and nobody knew how the data got there? And then, of course, it was revealed that an insider, for his own financial gains or not, was able to collect all the data illegally and use it in many different ways. So we have to be very careful. We know the problem is a big problem. The question is how we deal with it. Now, since we said before that it is a big problem, let's demonstrate a few critical cases, high-profile cases, to see the magnitude of the issue that we have. Who doesn't know all the German cases where the German state buys Swiss banking data from prior insiders? Two very well publicized cases is the NSA's Snowden's. Edward Snowden, what he did, he was a consultant at NSA. He had all the security clearances, and when he left, he was able to reveal and give to journalists lots of critical data. Now everybody knows what happened. It has not been published. It's not been known how it happened. Snowden, since he had his IT clearance, security clearance, he had access to a very sensitive network that was a server, basically, a data server, where all the critical articles were put together, and the different analysts had access to it, making and analyzing that data. So we have a server with all that critical data, and you have users that they have access to that data. So the only thing that he did, he was able to download those files to his PC and his USB and walk away. So practically, the only measure that was there to prevail somebody from getting data was access to the system. An ID and a password was the only method of protection that was used. Another very well-publicized case is the Falciani list, or the Lagarde list, as it is very well known. Mr. Falciani, he was an administrator at HSBC. So what he did, he downloaded tons of the bank's clients, all their activities and their bank accounts and everything. And then he left the bank and he started selling his data to different governments. That's another very high-level publicized case of insider threat. So we can see how big and how damaging something like this can be. And of course, we cannot say it's only part of financial institutions. It can be from banks, can be from solar panels getting intellectual data. It can be to any different industry that we can think of. So Cisco has done some research on the issue, and they came up with some very interesting statistics. All the IT professionals, especially the security professionals, they are very concerned about USB devices. It's so easy to get lots of data in a very small device. Now, the most interesting finding is that 40% of the IT professionals, security professionals, are concerned about the threat from their own employees. This is very concerning. It reminds me of if you go sometimes to some supermarket and you walk onto the cashier, and there's always a camera at the top of the cashier's desk, It seems like that's what we have to do, or that's where everything goes to protect the data inside the organizations. You have to somehow monitor everybody's activity. And what is more alarming is that 25% of the professionals admitted that they don't know the threats of data loss over the past few years. Very concerning. So, we have many different cases of threats, so that we can categorize them in threat types. We have the sabotage, like the California case. For those who don't know, there was an administrator. He left, and what he did, he locked all the servers and nobody could go and get into them. Then you have the theft of information. Industrial espionage is very big. It's huge, huge, huge. Then we have fraud, inside fraud, of course, and we have threats to the software. Oops, sorry. Now, stages of data theft. We can put the whole process into some kind of a perspective. And actually what we can say is the first step is to obtain access. Now, remember, an insider has access, or it's much easier to obtain access. The second step is to download the data. This is very easy. And of course, after he is capable, able of getting the data, then he can do anything he wants to. In a way, he can share it for making some profit out there. Now, prediction and detection is very important. So, when we say prediction and detection, what do we mean? We mean that we have to be aware. This is an awareness triangle that we see. We have to look at the way people behave. So in a way, we can put it as a ladder and see different indicators about how people behave when they are involved in insider threatening. So you can see the way people act verbally. That tells you that you have a very angry employee, as an example. Then you can see the way people are using. Maybe he's going and he's looking into databases that are not related with what he's doing. Then you can see how people are preparing to do other stuff. It's very difficult to detect the preparatory behavior. It can be a programmer, it can be an administrator, it can be in many, many different ways. Or people can make meaningful errors. This can be a data entry clerk who is making errors intentionally, so down the road he can go correct or do other things out there. Or you can see that people deliberately do things. You have to look at all these, you have to correlate all these. It's not easy, but these are usually the things that people are doing when they are dealing with insiders threat. Now, we have a case study was done regarding 77 cases in the US from 96 to 2007 that was dealing with the insiders threat. And out of them, we found something very, very interesting. 95% of the employees, they are current. So it's not somebody who left and all that. They are working out there. Most of them, they are doing it for a financial gain. And a third of them, that means 33%, they have it as an ongoing. So the question here is, for somebody to be able to utilizing this behavior for a long time, that means the company has to seriously look into their controls and to the way they're doing business. One way of, one reason actually is that insiders, they're getting paid from outsiders to collect data and give it to them. So this is very, very difficult. Suppose that I am in position where it's part of my job to look at accounts. And I have an accountant who is interested at one particular client, and he says, Dimitri, you know, I'll be calling you here and there, and I'll be asking for some information regarding some of my clients, and for each client I'll give you $100. So I will log on to the system, which is part of my job, right? And even though I don't have to do anything with that client, I will collect the data and give it to a third party. This is very, very difficult to find out and see how it's going, because people are taking advantage of their job day-to-day processing. So it's not something that we can deal very easily. It can have many, many forms out there. Now, every attack has its own ways. So 95% basically of all the attacks are going through the normal working hours. That's something close to what we said before. Some of them, they have higher administrators database access. So basically we're saying it doesn't have to be somebody with a lot of access to do that. It can happen at all levels. 16%, only 16% involve sophisticated techniques. So the broad number of these cases are people. So that's the majority of the organization. And what is really concerned, 85% of the insiders use their own usernames and passwords. So what it means like I'm doing my job, and it means like there are not any supervision for what I'm doing, and it means like it's too easy for me to go and grab something and give it outside. And it has become very easy with a USB to download and share and take home unauthorized data that you want. Now, how it was detected. This is very interesting how people detected those 77 cases of our analysis of the case study that we're doing. Monitoring of the network was almost non-existent. Half of them were detected due to data irregularities. That's good. That means that the accountants or the users, not the technical people, the users, see irregularities in their reporting and the numbers and everything, and they investigate. Now, the majority of the cases were detected by non-technical means, such as the notification of a problem by customer. So you have an outsider telling you, oh, I think there's something wrong with your system. And remember, the way it works is you see an irregularity, you start to research the irregularity until you get to the end, and usually at the end you're going to find how it all began. And that's how you spot if the insider is doing some funny stuff out there. Okay, and 50% of the cases were detected by non-IT security personnel. This is normal. Remember, people are using their day-to-day function, so it's difficult if they are doing something illegally, if they are accessing illegally the data, but it's part of their day-to-day function to go and be capable, to go and see what they're doing actually. So, what you have to do, you have to do a bunch of things. You have to take insider's threat very, very serious. It's a problem, it exists, it is here, you have to deal with it. What you do, you look at the past incidents, not only at your own company, very important. You have to do your research, see what other companies did, how other insiders use techniques to access data, what they did with the data. You have to be alert with it. Now, another thing that you can do is you have to identify your critical data. Very important. Identifying your critical data, it's going to help you secure the data. It's going to let you know, it's going to give you a way of building all those controls that you need to go and protect your data out there. You can use your current technologies differently. You have a networking, let's say, a software or a networking analyzer. Instead of only utilizing it to see your performance, you can see how the data goes, who is accessing what. You can mitigate the threats. You are using a consultant. Let's go back to the NSA Edward Snowden case. He was a consultant. So one way is doing, when you have a contract with a consulting firm, is let them know that they have to take some steps to protect you from their employees. You have to ask them to do a few functions. You have to guard them as what steps they have to do to protect yourself. Recognize concerning behaviors. This is normal usually. When you see somebody who's angry, somebody who is unhappy, all that, these are signs of something might not be going the right way. Of course, educate your employees, very important. And pay very close attention at your termination. When you terminate somebody, you have to be very careful of the whole process, how you take away all the privileges and all that, especially privileges that he has over mobile data. As today, we know that it's so easy to access corporate data in many different forms out there. Employee privacy issues. You have to work together with the whole organization. And of course, as we said, the last thing is that you have to treat this as a very, not only real, but a very critical threat out there. So, what we learn actually from past incidents. Some organizations, they don't learn anything. That's why, unfortunately, we have repeated incidents of the same exactly case. It's very important, once you identify an attack, go and take all those measures that are necessary to safeguard yourself. Don't let things just flow by themselves. And of course, it's very important to have always a team that works on this one. You go and you always look at your controls, what the rest of the market is doing, what new cases they are. Be on top of it, basically. That's what we're saying these days. Now, as we said, one of the most important aspects is that figure out what is your most critical data, go and protect it. That is very important, and that's basically what we are saying in this particular slide. Focus on protecting your critical stuff. And there are many, many reasons why you should do this. And there are many ways to do that, as we're going to see in the next few slides. Now, besides using all those controls that we said, like analyze people behaviors, put all those control access out there, have your team that works constantly and monitors everything, you have to utilize technology. Technology is very, very important in this case. And there is a technology today that allows you to go and protect your data at the user's level. Very important. You don't need to give access to all your employees to their customer database. You can give them access to the customers that they really want to have access. Not that something like this, basically, what it's going to do, it's going to not eliminate your problem, but it's going to make it more difficult. It's very, very easy if somebody has access to the whole database, to millions of records, to do a lot of damage for you than for somebody who has only to a portion of the database, as an example. So you can use data loss prevention software packages. You can also use CM packages, very, very important. Security Intentional Prevention Management Programs. These are excellent, excellent, excellent software packages to protect yourself. Very, very important. Utilize them. Have your IT, your security people look into them. They can be used in many different ways to protect your data. Do that. Data correlation. This is very, very important as well, very interesting as well. People can correlate different pieces to get the bigger picture of the puzzle up there. You have to know that. You can use intrusion detection systems. Use it, not only for outsiders to see, use it for insiders as well. And your network monitoring, as we said, instead of only using it to see the performance and the analysis of your systems, monitor particular activity, who is accessing what, start asking questions. Don't let, let's say, an administrator, a database administrator, do whatever he wants. You have to monitor him. And the way to do that is using these tools. Because, as you know, an administrator, he can do anything he wants. But these tools, what they're going to do, they're going to log all the activity so somebody else can go and see exactly what everybody's doing. As we talked a little bit before, mitigating the threats, and we said about the NSA Edward Snowden case. So what you can particularly do, as we said, you can look into the contracts that you have on them. You have to make tougher requirements the way they treat their employees. You have, this is very important. You have to audit their policies and procedures. Very, very, very important. This way, basically, you are safeguarding the behavior of the contractors that will be working for you. Okay, and of course, some companies, what they do, they have policies and procedures for their employees, but they do not apply for contractors. Let me give you an example on it. When a company hires an employee, he has to go through the whole screening procedure. When they bring a consultant, he doesn't have to go through anything. So this is not good. you have to take that consultant and go over the process of doing the background check and everything, doing that. So do not make it easy. Do not allow for loopholes out there for people to take them. It doesn't work like that. So you have to be strict only on yourself, not only on yourself, but strict on the contractors as well. The next thing that you can do is look for potential signs of things that might not be going the right way. So you have to look at the behavior of the employee as a potential indicator of something going wrong out there. So basically what you're saying, you have to look what people are doing in a way. And of course, you want to educate your people. You want to see that everybody is on the same level regarding all this. So you should always be asking yourself some questions. Do you have any systems of data that an insider could pay money to steal or modify? These are your crown jewels, as we said before. This is the most critical data that you want. So not only that, but you can always be proactive. And as we say, insider's threat have to do with human beings. So periodical background checks, it's a must. It's going to help you. You have to pay close attention to the registration. We said that very, very important. Otherwise, people can be very malicious when they go, and you have to establish your procedure of how you terminate people out there. And as we said, another indicator that you have to look is you have to look through the privacy issues. See if what is each country has their own privacy laws. So basically, you have to align your activity, your action, with your with the legal side of the country or the place where you are. So you have to work together if you want to have better results. So it has to have the support of top management. You have to work together, security management, data owners, users, you name them together. And you have to be proactive. Have your team work with the issue, educate themselves better, and come up with suggestions how to better protect the IP, the intellectual property of the organization. And of course, this is the most important slide. If you don't have an insider's threat program, do it right now. It is very, very, very important. Insider's threat, it's like a disease, it's like high blood pressure. It is there, you don't see it. Once you realize it, it might be too late. So you have to work with it, educate your upper level so you can get their support, and especially with so many well-known cases out there, it should not be that difficult basically to go and sell the idea of protecting the organization's assets from the insiders. Of course, you have to have a division where basically you want to draw the line of respecting your employees and treating them in a fair way as to how much supervision I have to do. This is a very, very critical and sensitive issue that you have to take into your consideration. So, best practices. There are a few things that you can do. As we said, you have to you have to evaluate and educate your employees. Use different ways to integrate your security solution with the systems that you have. Use your data loss prevention technologies, as we said before. You have to encrypt your laptops, authentication, all of that. So basically what you have to do is use a number of best practices to protect yourself. So thank you. That is all that we had to say about the insider's threat. In a way, it's very critical. You have to work very hard. It can do a lot of damage. This is the most important sentence that I would like everybody to remember. An insider can do a lot of damage. So what you have to do is work hard. The technology is there. You cannot eliminate it. You can make it very hard. And in some cases, you can fully protect yourself against such incidents. So thank you so much. Any questions?
Mr. Demetris, thank you very much for this highly informative presentation. We have one question for you, and one of attendees has asked you which are the most common insider threats and how to mitigate them.
The most important insider threat is when somebody does his work as he is doing, and he is using that knowledge to sell it to other parties. It's very, very difficult to go and detect this. How do you mitigate? You try to control the exposure of data to as many people that really need the data. Very important. Do not give broad access. You have to be very proactive. You have to know every user what data he wants. That's the way to mitigate yourself. You have to control yourself. If there is one word that I have to say, it's control. Do not give unlimited access. And then once you control, you have all those technology software methods to go and investigate, do your analysis to see what's happening. Always you have to try and see if something is going wrong and I do not see it right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Demetris. Since we don't have any other question, I want to thank you again for this great presentation, and I want to thank all the attendees as well for taking the time out of your busy schedules and join us. We hope you enjoyed this webinar, and you can check this webinar recorded on our website www.pcb.com. At the end, please be informed that next Monday we are hosting another webinar titled Bringing Innovation, Learn Startup and Value Proposition Design to ISO Implementations. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.